Like many of you, my interest in the paranormal started with the movies and the TV shows. However, it wasn't until my dad passed away in 2010 and I had some experiences that I decided to step into the paranormal field. In 2011, a small group of us here in Texas started the National Paranormal Society, otherwise known as NPS. And after some major growth in 2012, I stepped into the role of NPS Senior Director, overseeing the investigation and research, education resource, and photography departments. To date, I have led three paranormal teams and currently lead NPS of Texas. From 2011 to 2014, I was involved in the filming of NPS Alone as the only female investigator on the team, as well as hosted two paranormal shows, DNS Live and NPS Focus on the PEN network. NPS recognizes the fields of the paranormal as obviously ghosts and hauntings and haunted locations, along with aliens and UFOs, also known as ufology, cryptozoology, demonology, ancient mysteries, and the occult. Within these areas, we focus on photography, science, health and safety, technology, and investigation and resource education resources. The study of the paranormal is called parapsychology. Paranormal is defined as of or relating to the claimed occurrence of an event or perception without scientific explanation, such as psychokinesis, extrasensory perception, and other purportedly supernatural phenomenon. Each episode of Into the Unknown will include a topic related to one of the paranormal fields, a guest interview, paranormal trivia, and we'll wrap up the show by learning something new within the field, so be sure and stay till the end. Today we'll be taking a look at UFOs. My guest today is Max, who will be sharing some of his experiences with us from the road. Before we get into today's hot topic, I want to address a few questions I had from last week's show. During that show, I shared some investigation footage from our investigation at Hill House Manor from Gainesville, Texas. My guest on the show is my good friend and fellow paranormal investigator, Frank Cox from EF Paranormal. So one of the first questions I got was, what was the tablet called that we used on the investigation? And you guys, I've always had to borrow or rent one from a friend. Mine finally came in yesterday, and it hasn't been charged. So my apologies, I can't turn it on. Don't know if I'd want to turn it on in my house, but this is called a Kinect. It's basically a 10-inch tablet with a Xbox 360 attached to it. The tablet stays charged. You turn on the power here. And what this does once it turns on is it also powers the 360. Then what happens is the software comes on here, and you guys saw the dots that made up the stick figure. So this device allows us to see spirit forms on the screen using an infrared projector with a monochrome CMOS sensor that shows everything as dots arranged in 3D formation. These infrared dots allow the camera to show depth and detail. The IR sees people by recognizing a human shape based on joints and movements. Video can be recorded on the camera or to an SD card. So there's a slot on the side that we can put in an SD card. So still have to get that. It did not come with that. This is probably the most expensive piece of equipment I own to date. So it comes in a large case. It's waterproof. We make sure we take care of all of our equipment because you can't always afford to replace them. The next device that we showed that we used, there were three. One of them we talked about after the show last week, which was the Paranology's Periscope, which is this piece of device. This is a triboelectric field meter that visually follows static electricity fields vertically, allowing the investigator to be informed of the direction of the field. So it will either light up left to right or right to left. Sometimes we will have it light up straight in the middle. So again, this is a periscope is what this is called. And I have a special one made in the shape of a butterfly. Should have pulled it out to show you guys, but we'll show it next time. So this is the one that we talked about after the show. The next one that we used was the SB7 Spirit Box. This baby comes like this, and we attach a speaker to it. That's all the noise and the static that you guys heard through the radio frequencies. So this is a very popular piece of equipment used in investigations and seen on most paranormal shows. The device scans radio frequencies or white noise to allow for spirit communication. It utilizes a multi-second adjustable forward or reverse frequency sweep coupled with a proprietary high-frequency synthetic noise or white noise distributed between frequency steps. So basically, you can program the buttons to go back and forth. Usually, we're on an AM field, AM radio field to be able to do that. But you do need a speaker of some sort to be able to hear it. Otherwise, the speaker built into it's kind of quiet. And you guys heard during the investigation last week, the footage, that it was pretty loud. So the other piece of equipment that we used is just a thermal imaging camera. This is just a basic one. A lot of people use the FLIR. The FLIR is very expensive. This is a smaller handheld one, does the same job. It's a 3.2-inch infrared imaging camera that allows us to see temperature differences in the areas we're investigating. If we see cooler temperatures in a particular area, we can scan that area with the Kinect to see if we get any stick figure images. So a lot of times you'll see it's red when it's warm, like a blue when it's cool. So this is also something else that we use. And again, all of these things either run on regular batteries or they can be USB charged. The other question I had was, what was Frank's role in the investigation? Most paranormal teams assign roles to their team members. However, when you have a smaller team, everyone steps in to fill every role. So during the investigation at Hill House Manor, Frank stepped in to be the investigator who would attempt to attract and communicate the local spirits there at Hill House Manor. Frank told us about how he felt during the investigation, lending to his empath side, meaning that he could feel the feelings of spirits around them when they came in contact with him. If you'll remember, he said that he got a little emotional and kind of felt a little teary-eyed too. As always, if you guys have any questions about any of the shows, please reach out to me on IG and I'll try my best to include them in upcoming shows to provide answers. And after each show, I stay about 30 minutes so we can answer questions on that show that we just went through. So if you guys want to stay after the show for about 30 minutes, I will answer questions. Before we get into today's topic of UFOs, I'd like to share with you a recent sighting in Las Vegas, Nevada. And when I say recent, I'm talking May 1st, like just a few weeks ago. A police officer's body cam captured a green object shooting across the sky. At the same time, a Ring doorbell captured an explosion and an entire neighborhood illuminated like daytime. Then a 911 call came in from a teenager stating that something had crashed in their yard and a 10-foot creature was seen. The witness stated, "It has big eyes and it's looking at us." A cloaked object landed in their yard that paralyzed the teen, and afterwards a circular track measuring about 20 feet in diameter was left. The teen witness stated he could see their bellies moving in and out as if they were breathing and possibly in a distressed manner. When the NASA Planetary Defense Coordination Office was asked about it, Lindley Johnson, the first ever planetary defense officer, stated that the green fireball spotted was most likely a bright meteor, which was less than a meter wide. Let's take a look at some news footage of the incident and you guys can draw your own conclusion. I found this on YouTube. We're going to go through these stupid ads. It was keyed up. My apologies. And we'll be able to see this here in just a minute. And get it up fully for us. All right. It's like the ads we have on the app too, right? Here we go.
It's a scene straight out of the X-Files.
That's unreal. I've never seen anything like it. What are they?
A family in Las Vegas insisting something is out there after allegedly having a close encounter of the third kind.
I swear to God, this is not a joke.
One witness calling 911 after they say an object fell out of the sky and landed in their backyard.
They're like 9 foot, 10 foot tall. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes, they have big eyes.
The mysterious object that fell from the sky, even the officers apparently saw that. The green glow of the alleged UFO is seen on this newly released body camera footage.
I have butterflies, bro. I've only saw a shooting star, then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
So when that 911 call came in, less than an hour later, police were ready to believe it.
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like a long 10 feet tall.
Because I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or?
But after a brief investigation of the yard, officers closed the case as unfounded.
If those 9 foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
According to former intelligence officer David Grush, an alien crash landing isn't too far-fetched. Grush recently turned over documents to Congress claiming the U.S. government has a vast collection of vehicles that have non-human origin. An oversight committee in Congress is in the process of scheduling a hearing on those claims.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
And you guys, we're going to talk about all of that. Remember the name David Grush. We're going to talk about that tonight. So, MUFON, which stands for the Mutual UFO Network, has taken an interest in this report and is currently reviewing the photos and video footage, along with reaching out to the Las Vegas News requesting copies of what they captured. They will keep us updated via their website on what their findings are as soon as they receive any materials. And when I checked it earlier today, there has been nothing updated, so we'll keep an eye on that. For those of you just joining us, this is Into the Unknown, a new show on the app about the paranormal. And I'm your host, Kraken Whips. We just talked about the most recent alleged UFO sighting in Las Vegas. Coming up, we're going to talk about UFOs. After that, we're going to visit with my friend Max, who's a semi-truck driver, about his experiences on the road. Make sure you stick around for paranormal trivia later in the show, along with today's paranormal knowledge segment. I would like to thank you all for tuning in. And if you would like to be on the show, please message me on IG. My IG link is in my bio. Now, let's get into tonight's show. On October 21st, 2022, NASA announced a new panel, the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Study Team, otherwise known as the UAP Study Team, consisting of 16 selected individuals. This team will take a look at events in the sky that cannot be identified as aircraft or known natural phenomena that are categorized as UAPs. The team began a 9-month study on October 24th, 2022, to lay the groundwork for future study on the nature of UAPs. They will identify how data gathered by civilian government entities, commercial data, and data from other sources can potentially be analyzed to shed light on UAPs. The team will then recommend a roadmap for potential UAP data analysis by the agency going forward. That full report was released to the public sometime on May 31st, 2023, so just recently, during a public meeting. During this meeting, the team shared 5 revelations. First, many sightings can be explained while others remain a mystery. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, otherwise known as AARO, which is part of the U.S. Defense Department and was charged with tracking UAP in July 2022, receives about 50 to 100-ish reports each month. More than 800 reports have been collected over 27 years. But a number of those sightings, which are possibly really anomalous, are 2 to 5% of the total database. Most of the reports have turned out to be balloons, drone, or even the weather. It's been hard to explain some cases because the images, video, and data are of such poor quality that there isn't enough information to form conclusions. Cameras are designed to take pictures in the daytime and aren't optimized for nighttime imaging. Telescopes designed to work at night can also pick up light reflections that cause optical illusions and weird artifacts. Even though many UAP sightings were collected from military sensors, the technology doesn't match those used by scientists and national intelligence. According to the members of the study team, the Department of Defense's sensors' only purpose is to identify an object that is known and put a weapon on it. A Pentagon report in 2021 said that of 144 sightings by military pilots made since 2004, all but 1 remained unexplained. Officials did not rule out the possibility that the objects are extraterrestrial. There were 80 of these sightings captured on multiple sensors, and only 1 could be explained with a high confidence that it was a large deflating balloon. Second, privacy limits NASA investigations. NASA can point the largest collection apparatus in the entire globe at any point that they want, but most people don't like it when it's pointed in their backyard. Third, microwave and optical illusions make UAP-related data difficult to interpret and make it easily skewed. There was a burst of radio waves picked up by researchers in Australia that had a really strange structure. It always happened near lunchtime. After some research, it turned out they were picking up signals from a microwave used to heat their lunches. Optical illusions have happened when pilots were convinced they flew by a UFO and turned around to look at it. Turns out in one instance, it was actually a balloon of Bart Simpson. Fourth, stigma and harassment hamper research because commercial pilots are reluctant to report sightings because of the stigma surrounding UFOs. The team needs high-quality data to address important questions about UAPs, so they are trying to remove the stigma. Some scientists have even faced harassment online for their work in the area. This leads to further stigmatization of the UAP field, significantly hindering the scientific process and discouraging others from studying this important subject matter. Fifth, there's a new era of transparency. The meeting that was held was noteworthy of NASA's change of approach. NASA has spent decades debunking UFO sightings and have now created the team to show their commitment to transparency. The primary objective of the team is not to go back and look at grainy footage, but rather to give a roadmap to guide NASA for future analysis. NASA's work will focus on unclassified material and coordinate with the Pentagon's simultaneous investigation. From 2007 to 2012, the Pentagon ran a program called the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program and was run by former Department of Defense Intelligence Officer Luis Elizondo. The program may still be running today in some form or capacity alongside the study team. The program has spent more than $20 million in research on UFOs. It examined cases including incidents of military pilots who claim to have seen flying objects that appear to defy the laws of gravity. Footage exists on YouTube taken from a Navy FA-18 fighter jet showing a disc-like object in the sky and voices saying, "Look at that thing, it's rotating." In 2021, the Pentagon released a report on UAPs, which found more than 140 instances of UAP encounters that could not be explained. The report followed a lead of military footage showing inexplicable happenings in the sky, while Navy pilots testified that they frequently had encounters with strange craft off the U.S. coast. It is interesting to note that the acronym UAP used to stand for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, but the National Defense Authorization Act, signed into federal law this past December, changed the A to represent anomalous, the purpose being to capture strange sightings on the ground and underwater. But the majority of reports have been in the air, so NASA's team will focus on aerospace. Congress members said that UAPs appear in sensitive U.S. airspace and around military personnel, which pose a significant national security risk. This UAP amendment establishes an office to replace the current UAP task force and would have access to all of the U.S. Department of Defense and intelligence community data regarding UAPs. The office also has the authority to establish coordinated efforts to report on and respond to UAPs while improving data sharing between agencies on UAP sightings and addressing national security concerns. The office would also be able to report on any health effects those who've had a UAP event may experience. On June 5th, 2023, remember the name I told you to remember, a former intelligence official came forward as a whistleblower stating that the government has intact and partially intact craft of a non-human origin. The official is David Grush, who led analysis of UAPs within a U.S. Department of Defense agency. He stated that the information on these vehicles is being illegally held from Congress. Grush states that when he turned over classified information about the vehicles to Congress, he suffered retaliation from government officials. He left his position in April after a 14-year career in U.S. intelligence. Grush has said that the analysis of the materials determined them to be of exotic origin, meaning non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown origin. The assessment of these materials is based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possession of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures, according to Grush. The House Oversight Committee is currently conducting a hearing on Grush's reports, and it's being led by Republican Representatives Anna Paulina Luna and Tim Burchett. Jonathan Gray, a current U.S. intelligence official at the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, otherwise known as NASIC, confirmed the existence of exotic materials. The non-human intelligence phenomenon is real. We are not alone. Retrievals of this kind are not limited to the U.S. This is a global phenomenon, and yet a global solution continues to elude us, states Gray. Several of Grush's colleagues vouched for his character, with some saying he was beyond reproach. In a 2022 performance review, he was described as an officer with the strongest possible moral compass. Nick Pope, a former British Ministry of Defense investigator, said these accounts of alien materials are very significant. When these people make these formal complaints, they do so on the understanding that if they knowingly made a false statement, they are liable to a hefty fine and or prison. Senator Marco Rubio that more government officials are coming forward who have witnessed similar things to Grush. A lot of these people, whilst deeply admire Grush for his courage in going public, they're hoping that within a private hearing of Congress to give their evidence on camera. A lot of the evidence that they have to reveal is highly confidential, he stated. Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri believes the government has been less than fully truthful when it comes to UFOs. He is one of the main government leaders at the forefront of the issue. Hawley stated, "I don't have any basis to evaluate Grush's claims, but do some of the details that he's alleging sound plausible? Yeah, sure they sound plausible, based on what I've seen this government do in other instances." He pointed to the Chinese balloon debacle as an example of the government concealing information. What we learned from the Chinese spy balloon incident is that one part of the government actively concealed it from other parts of the government, because that's what they do all the time. A NASA spokesperson said, "One of NASA's key priorities is the search for life elsewhere in the universe. But so far, NASA has not found any credible evidence of extraterrestrial life, and there's no evidence that UAPs are extraterrestrial. However, NASA is exploring the solar system and beyond to help us answer fundamental questions, including whether we are alone in the universe." What do you guys think? Do you think we're alone? Do you think there are extraterrestrial beings? Do you think our government is hiding knowledge from us of otherworldly craft? Should be interesting to see what comes of Grush's reports in the upcoming months. And we'll be sure to keep you updated here on Into the Unknown on that. For those of you just joining us, this is Into the Unknown, a new show on the app about the paranormal, and I'm your host, Kraken Whips. I would like to thank you for tuning in and for all the gifts. Please be sure and favorite my top 3 gifters along with everyone in the comments. If you would like to be on the show, please message me on IG. The link is in my bio. Doesn't matter if you believe in ghosts or UFOs or Bigfoot. If you are an unbeliever, if you are a skeptic, I would love to have you on the show. Now, let's get to tonight's guest. My guest tonight is Max, who is a semi-truck driver and has had a few experiences on the road that can be defined as unexplainable. Max, if you'll please request the guest box, we'll get started. Can you guys see Max okay? How are you, Max?
Hello. My apologies. I'm a bit shy type of guy, so
You at least got to see his face. He is on the road tonight, so
yeah,
we want to make sure we take care of him.
This is me for those who don't know me.
Well, Max, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being my guest on Into the Unknown tonight. Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, how long you've been on the app, and when you stream.
Well, I've been on the app for approximately 16 months. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I've been on the app for approximately 16 months. And one of the reasons I got on the app was because I thought this was dating app, and there is potential to find a serious soulmate, due to nature of my job, and also I'm out here alone all the time, as you can see even now, so, I get bored. So that's one of the reasons I got on this app.
I gotcha. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I know there's a mention of your accent, and I know when you come in my stream, we all love your accent and love hearing your background. So give people maybe just a little bit of a tidbit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Bosnia originally, and I came in United States in 1998. I used to work in a company, it was a company, then became a huge corporation, and I cannot name it right now because of the sensitive items that I might gonna talk in here about. But I worked in a prototype weapon systems industry for 15 years as a tool and die maker, CNC programmer. So pretty much, let's say you want to make drones of any type for NASA, for Boston Dynamics Scientific, or let's say for FBI or some different military intelligence units, like secretive type of stuff. I did that. I did, as a matter of fact, one of the projects, the first project's prototype went through a team. I was part of it for Atlas robot that was actually made as a patent for Boston Dynamics, and later on was sold to U.S. Army as a patent. I also worked with a guy that was one of the co-inventors of electromagnetic howitzer that was put on Navy ship. There is one actually in existence as a prototype, only one, and it's functioning.
Very nice. Very nice.
You know, that was a big achievement for me coming from foreign country, learning English, learning the trade. But I was lucky because people accepted me, you know, they taught me, they trusted me. And that was a big thing until my accident. Then my life fell apart. And I think I told you guys about that already, with all due respect.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. There was one night that you were in the box and we were having a conversation, and you told all of us about an encounter that you had on the road. And I thought it was fitting for tonight's show with all of us talking about UFOs tonight. So I kind of wanted you to share that story with everyone that's watching.
Okay, thank you. Well, after my divorce, I decided to buy me a semi truck and go on the road. But first, I started driving for Schneider because you need to have 2 years of driving under your belt before the insurance will approve you as an owner operator, you know, so you can start on your own. And that's what I did. I drove for Schneider, and we have electronic lock devices. It's called ELD, which pretty much you drive 70 hours a week in 8 days, and then you have to take 24-hour rest. And that's what I did up in Waterloo, Iowa. That particular weekend was actually Friday. I started taking my afternoon, my 34 restart, and I was supposed to go to Oskaloosa, Iowa, which is about 2.5 hours south of Waterloo, Iowa. And I was on Highway 63. So I departed in the morning around 3 o'clock Sunday morning, which is actually Monday morning. No, actually Sunday morning. Yeah, Sunday morning, 3 o'clock, I departed from Waterloo, Iowa. And I was just out of the city limits, like 45 miles, maybe 35 miles the most, actually. And I put headlights on, you know, the long headlights on, put the cruise speed limiter on 55 because it was Sunday. There was nobody out there, you know, except me. So what happened, about 35 minutes into drive, I seen wild, like, shaking of the bushes, you know, on a you know how on a, you know, because this was two-lane road, one south, one north, you know. So I noticed bushes moving violently, and I thought, okay, there's going to be deer coming out. So I hit my brakes, you know, to disengage my cruise control, and I was expecting deer to jump, so I didn't want to hit them because it's going to damage my truck big time.
Right.
And there was nothing. It suddenly stopped, and I was like, okay, that could have been a wind or something. But then my left eye catched something that kind of shocked me because my eye automatically started following, like there is something, but I cannot see that there is something, you know, but I know there is something. So this thing was kind of running from the left side in the front of my vehicle, running toward the right side. So when this thing hit my headlights, the long beams, I did see for like maybe like tenth of a second or half a second, like this thing, you know, it is, how would I explain? It is hard to explain, but it's like it had an electromagnetic type of shield on itself, but it was the size of the human, you know, but I was focused like never before in my life. I mean, I've been through the war back in my country, and I can, you know, handle any type of situation, you know, how, you know, what the normal human being cannot. But, and I was focused, you know, I was trying to see what the hell is going on here because I never seen something like this in my life, you know. And like I said, this thing had like fluctuating electromagnetic wave all over its body, but there wasn't nothing bigger than human. It was a little bit more robust in a width, you know, but it was nothing in a height, maybe 5 feet 8, 6 feet 3 the most, not even that. And judging by the size that I remember, that thing would weigh about 400 pounds
Oh, wow.
because it was robust, you know. But
Hmm.
another thing I noticed, instead of a feet, there was like something that I cannot describe fully, but I think was like a motorized. It's like some type of. It's not a propeller or anything, but you can see something under where feet is supposed to be. It's like moving at this very extremely fast speed, you know. So then I mean, this thing was coming across the road so fast that at the moment I felt like my semi truck stopped, wasn't even moving.
Oh, wow.
Honest to God, I mean, this thing was. I don't know. I felt like my semi truck stopped. So now that's one mystery I'm trying to figure out. What was it? You know,
Hmm.
for was it really stopped or not? Because I don't believe it stopped. You know, because but I know I found myself suddenly pulling over when this thing passed. I mean, this thing passed like within like half a second, 2 lanes road.
Fast.
You know, yeah,
It was.
extremely fast, and I was going 55 miles an hour. So imagine how fast that thing was going.
Oh,
You know.
yeah. And to cross in front of you that fast for you not to hit it, for you to get your headlights on it, but not to hit it, is
Yeah,
crazy.
this thing was like 10 feet ahead of my headlights, ahead of my hood, engine hood. And that that I do remember, like I said, I'm a really focused type of person. I pay attention to details. And the distance actually never changed between us, even though I was going 55 miles and that thing was running across and I can see it moving. So that's one mystery I cannot describe or explain what could
Hmm.
have caused something like that. But uh, once I passed, I found myself about 150 yards down the road. I managed to stop. I got out, you know, because I was empty. I was going to pick up the freight. So when you have an empty vehicle, it's harder to stop.
Right.
So it took me about 150 yards to stop, and I did stop. I got out to see what's going on. You know, this is like I never seen something like this in my life. So I started thinking. You know, I put myself in different type of mode. You know, from tactical standpoint, you know, because you're now wondering, okay, what the hell is this thing if it's not of this earth doing here in Waterloo, Iowa, in the middle of the cornfields, you know? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I look around, and what I did notice actually, the interesting thing on the side where that thing ran to the right side, I
Hmm.
did notice two cell phone towers, you know, those the
Interesting.
relays. Yeah,
Hmm.
and they spread from each other like a goalies, you know. So now
Interesting.
I'm started thinking, you know, what if? Why would that thing run toward that? You know, is there something that we probably don't know? You know,
Yeah.
is there
It's
is there
attractive.
is there something that they're probably using as a signal boost or whatever?
That's true. That's
You
true.
know, at that moment, everything goes through your head, possibilities, reasoning, this and that, you know. What's so important in Waterloo, Iowa, in the middle of the cornfields, from tactical standpoint, for that thing to be there, you know?
Exactly. Well, and it's interesting how it's going towards cell towers out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and like I said, this thing was live type of shield, you know. It has a electromagnetic fluctuating. You can see it fluctuating, moving around, and you can see it's electromagnetic type of shield because like I said, that's what I used to do. I used to make stuff, you know, like prototype weapon systems and all that. So I'm technologically inclined. I can tell the difference, you know, what could have been in the technology, you know. Because I worked for this company, man, that they started in 1999 and 2012 they went on IPO, initial public offering. They were valued $2.3 billion, and there is a reason why, because they were the best what they were doing, you know.
Hmm.
So, and actually, the members of the company, CTO like chief technical officers. A lot of these guys, they used to work for DARPA. I don't know if you're familiar with DARPA or not. DARPA. Yeah, they're secretive U.S. organization that makes like a shadow type of stuff, for them. Yeah. So now, seeing something like that, it puts you in a different mode as a human being. Not because you're scared, Some ordinary person probably would be scared and would stay quiet and say somebody's gonna think I'm crazy or something. But I'm not like that, I'm the type of guy that it bothers my conscience if I was to stay quiet. I said I need to tell somebody about this, because this you don't see that every day. Somebody needs to know about this.
Exactly.
And then tomorrow I couldn't wait. The first truck stop I stopped at, I bought me a camera. Just in case if ever happens again, I'll have a proof.
You need to get a dash cam put on the truck now.
I do have that. Actually. Yeah. I have it.
Yeah.
I have it right there.
That thing's going to capture the next best thing that we're going to be talking to NASA about now.
So what I did, I still couldn't, I couldn't sleep. It bothered me, I need to tell somebody, but it was Sunday, who you going to tell, So I didn't sleep for those next 24, 36 hours. I didn't sleep. I was looking up on Google, who should you contact in case if you encounter something unexplainable. And the first thing that came up on a Google search was MUFON.
MUFON, yeah. We just talked about MUFON. Yeah.
So I contacted them and nobody answered. I left a message. And I was so impatient. I called back 4 or 5 times again, and the person answers. And I told them what's going on, and they said, yeah, we know about stuff like that. I said, it's up to you, you want to believe me or not, it's up to you, you want to think of me as idiot or crazy or a drug addict or whatever, I don't care, it's out of me, it's out of my conscience.
Yeah, you've told somebody.
Yeah, I told somebody, about it, So they said, no, we really do believe you. And about a month later, a private investigator, and they told me they're going to send private investigator. He shows up. Actually, he calls me, and we made an appointment when I'm going to be home back from the road. And I taken him to location, show him where it is, where it happened.
Very nice. I'm going to take a break just real quick. For those of you just joining us, this is Into the Unknown, a new show on the app about the paranormal. And I'm your host, Kraken Whips. So far, we have talked about the UFO alien sighting in Las Vegas, the NASA UAP study team and their recently revealed report, and the current hearings going on in Congress surrounding a recent whistleblower's claims. Now we're visiting with my good friend Max about his experiences on the road. Please make sure you stick around for paranormal trivia later in the show, along with today's paranormal knowledge segment. I would like to thank you all for tuning in and for all the gifts. Please make sure to favorite my top 3 gifters, as well as myself and Max. And if you'd like to be on the show, message me on IG. The link to my bio is right here. So Max, let's continue. MUFON comes out. The private investigator comes and talks to you. What kind of questions is he asking you?
He asked me all the information, where I was at, what was I doing, where I was going, what time of the day. Normal stuff as a police officer would ask you in case of investigation.
So did he indicate to you at all that they'd had any other reports around in that area?
No. What I found out, actually, what they do, the MUFON, they don't send out the specialized team. They just contact local investigators.
I gotcha.
Which forward them back the information.
Yeah, one important thing to note about MUFON, you guys, is they do have a very large database. It is online, so if you do have a UFO sighting, they ask that you go and enter the information into their database. At NPS, we have one very similar that we've built called Project Endeavor, where we also keep information, and we ask a ton of questions, and so does MUFON. They want to know how the weather was, what time it was, what direction you're heading, all that information, because they are scientifically trying to study this information. So when they're coming out and asking all these questions, Max, I guarantee you they went back right into the database and put in some information to see if anyone else had had an encounter. Maybe it was the same day, maybe it was earlier in the day, maybe it was further west, further east. You never know, but they do legitimately take that information and stick it in a database for them to be able to read later.
I did look at all aspects, like from intelligence standpoint to military tactical standpoint. Even I went to a length, let's say, if there is some high-tech firm that's doing like some type of trials, Waterloo doesn't have that. It's a cornfield.
Like, why are they out here?
And tractors, yeah. So, but it was coming from the direction of the city. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was not coming just out of the empty field into another field. Yes, it was empty field. As soon as you pass the barrier, which is the bushes, to protect during the wind or winter time from snow, those type of bushes, it's not like there was a forest over there.
Right.
But it was coming from the direction of the city. So this thing must have been in a city doing whatever, who knows. And it ran toward those two cell phone tower type of deal, signal, towers.
Do you think that what you saw, because you said you saw something that looked like a propeller on its feet, would you equate that to maybe a human being on a hoverboard? Like, you think that maybe that was some form of transportation?
No, because human being wouldn't be able to have electromagnetic shield on itself, or a source to produce something powerful like that, nor to jump through the bushes. These are branches of bushes, strong, almost height of the tree.
Yeah. So
it's
do
like
you
a
think that
wall,
it was a part of the being that you saw? Because I'm wondering, like, what I was trying to equate it to is like a human being on a hoverboard to be able to move, right? So I wonder if this being was on something, some mode of transportation. And we just talked about how NASA has partial and pieces of other alien vehicle. I wonder if it's something similar to that they were, maybe they've left the spacecraft and they're out. Instead of using a four-wheeler, they're on this device to be able to travel. Do you think it was something similar to that? Or do you think it was like part of the being, like instead of having legs, it had this propeller looking?
This thing, it appeared it was standing on some type of platform that had some type of, it's not the engine. I did see a movement down there where your foot should be, I did see a movement. I said propeller because I don't know how otherwise to explain that movement,
Right.
But that could be potentially some type of energy source that has a different type of transformer or whatever it is that's powering up everything, the shield and everything on that thing, and did not have any visual controls, It was pretty much if you were to stand up on a plate 3 feet by 3 feet wide, and that plate had that power to produce that electromagnetic field around you and just carry you around.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And it's even more so interesting that it was traveling towards the cell phone towers, because I know we do talk about a lot of different radio frequencies and radio waves and that type of thing. So it is extremely interesting why it was headed that direction and where it was even coming from.
Yeah, I know it was coming from the city of Waterloo because I was parked on a pilot truck stop and I went through the city, made a S-type of circle, to get on Highway 63 because that was the easiest for me to get down to Oskaloosa, which is 2.5 hours with semi-truck south of Waterloo and local roads. It's not the highway. So I know it was coming from the city, from the city direction. Where was it? I don't know, but I know where it went to. And when I parked, I went back and I was like thinking, I looked that direction, I see those cell phone towers, and I was like, if this thing meant harm to me, this thing could have destroyed this semi truck in 2 seconds. How
Yeah.
robust in a width. This thing was not tall. This thing was like, you can see a heavy appearance. You can see it's robust in the whole body, you know.
Hmm.
And this thing passed in front of me like I don't even matter, you know. It's like we know about you humans. We don't care about you. But if we mean harm to you and if you're a threat to me, I could have destroyed you right now if I wished to.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like they know that we're curious about them and we're not going to do anything. So they're going to go about their business
yes,
here on our planet.
yes, exactly. So they don't consider us as a threat. They're not threat to us from what I've seen. But also, this was, like I said, this was a high technology. I mean, this was a fluctuating electromagnetic field, and you can see fluctuating, constantly moving around that thing. So, I mean, imagine the type of technology you need to have to create stable environment for that type of solid material to behave in that manner, just to surround you as a person, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
So
I mean,
here's a question for you. Have you been back in that area since?
oh yeah, I've been through that area at least 150 times.
And nothing else, nothing new.
Nothing ever happened again.
And I'm sure you think about it every time you go through there.
Yes, I do, because one thing that still remains mystery to me, I cannot distinguish. Was that thing running that fast? And I didn't realize the speed, but I did realize the speed because it took it like tenth of a second, half a second to run from one side of the road to another 2-lane road in front of my moving vehicle that was going 55 miles an hour. But as it appeared to me like my vehicle isn't even moving.
Well, you know, they say there's been reports that when people have encountered even a UFO, that cars stop, the battery goes down, the car stops. So, you know, it also makes you wonder, were you in such a curious state that maybe it happened in that little bit of a second, right? Where everything froze while it went by. And you're still focusing on what's in front of you. Like it makes you wonder, okay, were y'all really moving? Was it moving ahead of you and still across? Did you slow down? Were you frozen? Do you not realize it? It's a lot of questions there.
I did hit the brakes. I did hit the brakes because I was expecting deer to jump in front of me. I did hit the brakes, but I didn't hit brakes like hard to stop. You know, I hit the brakes slightly so I disengaged the cruise control. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and my vehicle
To have
was
control.
yeah. My vehicle was still going at the same speed because I never hit it that hard to stop it, you know, or to slow it down. I was just getting ready in case if I have to, you know. But so that's one thing that's kind of mysterious to me. That like thousandth of the second,
Mm-hmm.
where I couldn't tell the difference. Was I still moving or not, or was that thing going extremely that fast that I didn't realize how fast it is, you know. That was just approximation of my timing that I told you. And another thing, there is a window where I don't remember. At one point I passed that encounter time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I was there, I know I've seen it, I know I felt my semi-truck was not moving, but then at one point did I cross that barrier on other side of that thing when it passed. That's like tenth of a second missing window. But I believe that was like a state of the shock in my mind, you know, because I never seen something like that before. So I believe my mind focusing on that thing probably froze and was not paying attention to other things because my eyes were automatically still following this thing.
Yeah,
So
you were distracted.
Yeah, I'm trying to find any way to kind of figure out what could be, because that's still mystery to me, you know, today.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
mean,
very
this.
interesting. Very interesting. Well, you guys, if you want to hear some more from Max, we will still have Q&A afterwards. And if Max has time to join us, he can come back in. We're running a little short on time, but I did want you guys to hear his experience, especially after hearing what's going on with NASA and the hearings going on right now. Everything is starting to kind of come together, so to speak, so that people that have had these experiences can start feeling like, hey, it wasn't just me. The government's looking at it. Something's going on. So, Max, I want to thank you for being my guest. And if you have time to stay after the show, I would love for you two to answer some questions.
Oh yeah, I do have a lot of time. I parked for this reason, so we
Perfect.
can focus on this. And if I may add, if you don't mind,
Sure.
please forgive me for interrupting you.
No, you're fine.
One thing I want to add, if this thing, to me, it appeared like this thing malfunctioned because the way this electromagnetic waves on it worked, they were almost getting interrupted somehow. It's like this thing, it appeared, it did have a solid like a waves going around it, but at one point it didn't. And that's when I was able to see how high this thing and what it is. I could not tell what it is, but I know it was the height of the human being. But also, if this thing, my high beams didn't hit, I would never be able to see that thing. This thing could be sitting next to you in a park, next to you on a chair park. You would not know it's there.
Interesting.
Honestly.
Interesting.
So that's what I just wanted to add.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. That's very interesting. Well, Max, stay after the show. You guys will talk to him some more and you can ask him some questions directly. Max, I want to thank you for being my guest today on my third episode and the first one talking about UFOs. So I will go ahead and exit you out of the box, but stay in the comments so we can talk to you after the show.
Okay, boss. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're a wonderful lady. I respect you highly.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
For those of you just joining us, this is Into the Unknown, a new show on the app about the paranormal, and I'm your host, Kraken Whips. On behalf of me and my guest, Max, I would like to thank all the gifters. Please favorite my top 3 gifters. We'll shout them out at the end of the show. Along with myself and Max, please favorite yourselves in the comments as well. If you'd like to be on the show, please message me on my IG. The link is in my bio. We have just a little bit of time left, so I hope you guys are ready for paranormal trivia. Of course, some of it's going to be about ghosts and hauntings, and some of it's going to be about UFOs, so let's get into it. What technology is used by contemporary paranormal investigators? Is it A, infrared or night vision cameras, B, an EMF meter, C, a digital voice recorder, or D, all of the above? What technology is used by contemporary paranormal investigators? A, infrared or night vision cameras, B, EMF meter, C, digital voice recorder, or D, all of the above? If you guys answered D, you got it right. We use all 3 of those pieces of equipment. Which of the below people are popular mediums today? Is it A, Teresa Caputo, B, Chip Coffey, C, Tyler Henry, or D, all of the above? Which of the below people are popular mediums today? Teresa Caputo, Chip Coffey, Tyler Henry, or all of the above? If you guys are answering all of the above, you're correct. Teresa Caputo is the Long Island medium. Tyler Henry is the teen medium with his show on the E! Network. And Chip Coffey has made many appearances and had his own show for a while about child mediums. Fun fact, one of my paranormal investigator friends is really good friends with Chip Coffey. Which haunted object was made famous by Ed and Lorraine Warren? Was it A, the Annabelle doll, B, the Raggedy Ann doll, C, a vampire coffin used by a modern day vampire, or D, all of the above? Which haunted object was made famous by Ed and Lorraine Warren? Was it A, the Annabelle doll, B, the Raggedy Ann doll, C, a vampire coffin used by a modern day vampire, or D, all of the above? You guys, it's D. It's all of the above. I was actually shocked by that one too. What movie was based on Ed and Lorraine Warrens' experiences? Was it A, The Haunted in 1991, B, The Conjuring in 2013, C, The Haunting in Connecticut 2009, or D, all of the above? What movie was based on Ed and Lorraine Warrens' experiences? Was it A, The Haunted 1991, B, The Conjuring 2013, C, The Haunting in Connecticut 2009, or D, all of the above? You guys, it's D. The Conjuring was actually about Ed and Lorraine Warren. The other two movies were about experiences that they had. So all three movies were based on their experiences. What year did the infamous UFO incident occur in Rockwell, New Mexico? Was it 1947, 1953, 1948, or 1950? What year did the infamous UFO incident occur in Rockwell, New Mexico? Was it 1947, 1953, 1948, or 1950? You guys, it was 1947. It is said that an unidentified flying object crashed during the summer of 1947 just outside of Roswell, New Mexico, and its wreckage was retrieved by the military. The military first stated it happened, then stated it was something else that was found. Instead of retrieving a flying disc and alien bodies, what did the Air Force claim was found? Was it a drone, a weather balloon, a regular balloon, or none of the above? Instead of retrieving a flying disc and alien bodies, what did the Air Force claim was found? Was it A, a drone, B, a weather balloon, C, a regular balloon, or D, none of the above? You guys, it was a weather balloon. In the 1993 movie Fire in the Sky, was it based on a true story? True or false? The 1993 movie Fire in the Sky is based on a true story. Is that true or false? You haven't heard of it. It's true. The 1993 movie Fire in the Sky was based on a true story. On November 5th, 1975, Travis Walton stated he was abducted by extraterrestrials and taken aboard a UFO and released 5 days later. What is a crop circle? Is it an agricultural terminology meaning one true bushel? Is it B, a geometric shape used in mathematics? Is it C, circles of bent down plants that appear mysteriously in fields at night? Or D, none of the above? What is a crop circle? Is it A, agricultural terminology meaning one true bushel? B, geometric shape used in mathematics? C, circles of bent down plants that appear mysteriously in fields at night? Or D, none of the above? You guys, if you answered C, circles of bent down plants that appear mysteriously in fields at night, that's what a crop circle is. Are all crop circles indeed circles? True or false? Are crop circles indeed circles? True or false? You said false, you're correct. Crop circles can be made up of circles, hemispheres, lines, and many other shapes. Sightings of UFOs have been reported in which location/time period? A, Egypt around 1450 BC, near Kyoto, Japan in 1235, C, Nuremberg, Germany in 1561, D, all of the above, or E, none of the above? Sightings of UFOs have been reported in which location/time period? Is it A, Egypt around 1450 BC, B, near Kyoto, Japan in 1235, C, Nuremberg, Germany in 1561, D, all of the above, or E, none of the above? You guys, it's D, all of the above. Which of the following projects regarding UFO phenomenon investigation was not carried out by the U.S. Air Force? Was it A, Project Grudge, B, Project Air, C, Project Sign, D, Project Blue Book, or E, none of the above? Which of the following projects regarding UFO phenomenon investigation was not carried out by the U.S. Air Force? Was it A, Project Grudge, B, Project Air, C, Project Sign, D, Project Blue Book, or E, none of the above? You guys, it was Project Air. You would think it would have been, but it's not. What is the name of the 1996 film that portrays spaceships hovering over several major cities all over Earth in early July? Is it A, War of the Worlds, B, Independence Day, A, Space Odyssey, or D, Men in Black? What is the name of the 1996 film that portrays spaceships hovering over several major cities all over Earth in early July? Is it A, War of the Worlds, B, Independence Day, C, A Space Odyssey, or D, Men in Black? You guys, it's fitting for the time period. It's Independence Day. For those of you just joining us, this is Into the Unknown, a new show on the app about the paranormal, and I'm your host, Kraken Whips. On behalf of me and my guest, Max, I would like to thank all the gifters. Please favorite my top 3 gifters. Let's give them a shout out. Red Finnair, Boss Bro, and Fun with Deeds. Thank you guys very much for being in the top 3. You guys make sure and hit them with a favorite. Please also favorite myself and Max. And if you would like to be on the show, again, you don't have to have an experience. You don't have to believe. I would love to have some skeptics on the show so we can talk. Please message me. My IG link is in my bio. Now, really quick, we're coming to the end of the show. We're probably coming close to time, so we're going to go through this really, really quick. I'd like to teach you what the word pareidolia means. And if you've never heard of the word pareidolia, it's a hard word to spell, but it's also a really interesting psychological term, too, that we use in the paranormal. So pareidolia is also known casually as matrixing, but it is the brain's perception of a meaningful pattern within random sounds or images. This is when you see a familiar object or patterns in otherwise random or unrelated objects or patterns. Pareidolia is a term used in psychology. So we're going to take a look at a couple of pictures. The first one is my favorite that I love to use when proving pareidolia. Again, we're going to use the phone, still trying to get this figured out, but this is my favorite picture to show of pareidolia. It actually looks like a skull, but it's actually just the inside of a dead flower. The other one is a box where it looks like it's got 2 eyes and a mouth. So your mind immediately goes to thinking it's a face. Here's some other really good ones. This is the side of a cliff. Looks like a profile. This is actually bubbles forming to form an eye. This one, let's see if I can get it a little bit larger. This one's actually clouds in the sky that looks like a face. So your brain looks at something and immediately tries to tie it to something recognizable. These are upside down flowers, and they look like little dancing fairies. Again, your mind is trying to make it look like something you recognize. Y'all are going to love this one. This looks like a chicken, but it's actually a building. Again, your brain is trying to see something familiar. And of course, we're going to end with some really funny ones that you guys are going to absolutely love. We have a sink that looks like a very famous character. And we have a chicken looking like a bully. So you guys, pareidolia can apply to anything, not to just the paranormal. So the next time you guys go out and your brain tries to make something out of something, you can be like, hey, I just experienced pareidolia. I want to thank everyone tonight for joining me on my 3rd episode of Into the Unknown. My guest tonight was my good friend and fellow paranormal experience with the UFO, Max. Thank you all for being here and for your gifts. Please remember to favorite me and Max along with all the gifters, please. Not just the top 3, but all the gifters. If you'd like to be on the show, my IG link is in my bio. I would love to hear from you. And if you'd like to visit more about the paranormal and talk with Max, please stay after the show. I'd be happy to talk to you more and answer some questions. as well as Max being able to tell you more about his experiences. We still have the equipment out if you guys want to talk about that as well. So Max, thank you again for being my show tonight.